Mga katropa, alam mo ba na ang DWDD 1134 kHz AFP radio ay ang opisyal na radio station ng sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas na binubuo ng Army, Navy at Air Force na siyang maghahatid sa inyo ng mga balita mula sa ating Armed Forces at iba pang impormasyon. Mga katropa, hanapin at ilike kami sa Facebook, Twitter at YouTube. DWDD AFP Radio, ang boses ng Kawal Pilipino.
What is a soldier? You see them in the news. You see them in video games, in TV, movies, the internet. We see the action, amazed at the equipment, in awe of the skills. But what is a soldier? What lies behind the guns, the bullets, the gear? An ordinary human being, just like you. An ordinary person that will become the country's best, the country's brightest, the country's heart and soul. A nation's servant whose honor is to serve the Filipino people. A protector whose duty is to lead in times of trouble. A noble warrior that has chosen to push themselves to being the best that they can be. An ordinary Filipino, just like you. That has chosen to serve, lead, and whose extraordinary actions can inspire a nation. What is a soldier of the Philippine Army? An ordinary Filipino called to do extraordinary things. A human being with heart and soul. A warrior with a noble code. A protector of our freedoms. A Filipino hero. And you could be one too. A soldier of the Philippine Army. Serve, lead, inspire. Find your calling here. Join the Philippine Army today. Serving the people. Securing the land.
Noong bata pa ako, akala ko, kapag sinabing malaya, ibig sabihin noon ay malaya ko nang magagawa ang lahat ng aking ninanais. Na walang sino mang humahadlang o dumidikta sa aking buhay. Na malaya ako mula sa pagbabawal at utos mula sa aking mga magulang. Marahil ito ang uri ng kalayaan sa taong sarili lamang ang kanyang iniisip. Ngunit sa paglipas ng mga panahon, unti-unti ko nang nauunawaan kung ano nga ba ang totoong kahulugan ng pagiging malaya. Ang uri ng kalayaan na hindi lamang nakasentro sa pansariling kapakinabangan. Ito pala ay ang tinatamasa natin ngayon na resulta ng paghihirap ng mga kawal ng ating bansa. Dahil sa kanilang patuloy na paglaban at pagtupad sa kanilang sinumpaang tungkulin para sa inang bayan, ay tinatamasa ko na ngayon ang tunay na kalayaan. Tuluyan na nilang nasugpo ang mga grupo na sumisira sa noon lamang ay pinapangarap nating kapayapaan. Tinapos na nila ang laban mula sa mapanglinlang na kilusan na binibilog ang isipan ng mga kapwa ko mamamayan. Malaya na tayo sa kasinungalingan. Dahil sa kanila, napagtagumpayan natin ang laban para sa tunay na kalayaan. Magdiwang, tayo'y tunay na malaya na.
Ngayong Sabado sa Ang Inyong Kawal, samahan ninyo kaming tuklasin at alamin ang kwento sa likod ng unti-unting paglaya ng mga barangay mula sa mga kamay ng armadong kilusan. Anong kahalagahan ng isang barangay sa makakaliwang grupo? Paano ito prinotektahan ng pamahalaan ang interes ng mga mamamayan sa katimugang rehiyon ng Bicol? Kawal, Sabado alas 8 ng gabi sa UNTV, your public service channel.
Kayo ay nakatutok sa DWDD AFP Radio. Kami po ay kasapi ng KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Ito ang DWDD 1134 kHz AM. Balita, impormasyon at musika. Ito ang DWDD AFP Radio. Boses ng Kawal Pilipino.
Mga katropa, narito na ang programang maghahatid sa inyo ng mga napapanahong balita at impormasyon mula sa AFP Reserve Force, Laang Kawal para sa Bayan, kabalikat ng mamamayan. Ito ang inyong Reservist Hour.
Sulong mga anak bayan, kapit-bisig langkay-langkay, hahataw sa isang rutya. Laang Kawal handang lakas, tani-tani sa musari, puso, isip, kaluluwa. Pinag-isang mga mitid para sa isang bandila. Sulong na reserbang pwersa para sa bandila bayan. Tulong din Laang Kawal sa kapwa at kababayan. Mula sa isang kapunuan, kakaisang walang turing, pananalig, kasarian, yaman, tulong, kutis, mandin. Laang Kawal sa larangan, handa rin maghatid tulong sa panahong kalamidad o sa pambansang pagtulong. Sulong na reserbang pwersa para sa bandila bayan. Tulong din Laang Kawal sa kapwa at kababayan. Sa isang kapunuan, kakaisang walang turing, pananalig, kasarian, yaman, tulong, kutis, mandin. Laang Kawal sa larangan, handa rin maghatid tulong sa panahong kalamidad o sa pambansang pagtulong. Sulong na reserbang pwersa para sa bandila bayan. Tulong din Laang Kawal sa kapwa at kababayan. Sa kapwa at kababayan.
Hello, good morning sa lahat ng ating mga katropa na nakikinig ngayon sa DWDD dito po sa programang Reservist Hour na inyong mapapakinggan 7 to 8 in the morning every Saturday. At syempre pa ako po ang inyong katropa, Sergeant Maricel Nesio Batara, Philippine Air Force. Mula pa rin naman po dito sa Mobilization and Utilization Division ng OJ-9. Samantala mga katropa, ngayong umaga, pansamantala po muna natin hindi makakasama si Katropang Bernie dahil meron siyang kailangang asikusuhin na importanteng bagay. At para sa lahat po ng ating mga tagapakinig ay binabati po namin kayo ng isang mapagpalang Sabado ng umaga ngayong araw na ito. At bago natin simulan ang ating pagbibigay ng mga mahalagang impormasyon, wala pa rin naman po dito sa OJ-9, ay binabati muna natin ng isang maligayang kaarawan, si Major Jeffrey Lumagi, Philippine Army. Yan sir, good morning and happy birthday. At syempre pa, good morning din po sa ating chief, sa ating division, kay Captain Oliver Fernandez, Philippine Navy GSC. Sir, magandang umaga. At sa lahat po ng ating mga kasamahan dito sa OJ9, sa pangunguna pa rin naman po ni Major General Camilo Z. Ligayo, Philippine Army. Isang mapagpalang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ayan. At ito nga po, itong nakaraang May 26 to 29, 2022, ay dumayo po ang ating tropa dyan sa Visayas Command para naman isagawa itong Regional Reservist Convention 2022. At maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga lumahok na mga reservist po dyan sa VISCOM. At kita bibilangan siyempre yan ng 5th ARSEN dyan sa VISCOM and ang 7 RCDG at ganun din po ang NRSEN EV. Ayan. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nagsipag-attend at talaga naman pong naging napakaganda nitong outcome ng Regional Reservist Convention dyan sa inyong area. At nagpapasalamat tayo syempre sa pagtanggap sa ating dyan ng ating mga katropa sa VISCOM, sa U9. Yan, thank you so much. Minabati ko rin na belated happy birthday si Sir Sherwin ng U9. Thank you sir sa pag-asikaso sa amin dyan nung kami napadpad dyan sa VISCOM. Nung opening ceremony po ng Regional Reservist Convention, syempre pa ay dinaluhan niya ng ating GOHAS, ng ating guest speaker na si Brigadier General Eric Miguel Espina, MNSA Philippine Army Reserve, ang commander po ng 1901st RRI Brigade. Yan. At syempre pa, yan po ay naging napakasaya nung ating okasyon dyan. At maya lamang po mga katropa ay ipapakita natin sa inyo yung video na naging kaganapan dyan sa Visayas Command. Ito pong ating sinasagawang Regional Reservist Convention sa mga joint operational area sa iba't ibang panig ng ating bansa ay bilang bahagi po ito ng nalalapit na National Reservist Week na isasagawa naman po sa September 10. At yan po ay meron tema na building a capable reserve force amidst the pandemic situation in a new normal environment. At syempre pa ito pong RRC o itong Regional Reservist Convention, yan po yung phase 1 pa lamang ng ating culminating activity na magaganap po nga sa September 10. Yan po ay isasagawa dito sa Metro Manila, dito sa Camp Aguinaldo. At inaasahan po natin na maraming mga laang kawal po na mag-a-attend dyan. At ito nga pong selebrasyon na ito ay syempre bilang pagbibigay-pugay po sa lahat ng serbisyo ang pinagkakaloob ng ating mga laang kawal, ng ating mga reservists, ng libre, walang bayad. Yan. At para po sa bayan yung kanilang ginagawa. At tunay po tayong sumasaludo sa kanilang mga serbisyo na ibinibigay sa ating mga kababayan at sa ating bayan. Ito nga pong nakaraan na pumunta tayo sa VISCOM noong May 26 to 29. Yan mga katropa. Asahan naman po ng ating mga kasamahan ng mga laang kawal o ng ating mga reservists dyan sa Eastern Mindanao Command sa Davao. Diyan po ay pupunta din ang Team OG9 para po makita rin natin yung inyong mga capabilities dyan, ano po ba yung mga issues and concerns ninyo, ay malalaman po yan natin sa pagbisita namin dyan. This coming August naman yan. So dire-diretso po yung ginagawang programa ng ating OG9 para po mabisita yung ating mga reservists at makuha natin yung kanilang mga issues and concerns na gustong ipaabot sa higher headquarters. So yun po ay kabilang dahil ginagawa din po dyan sa tuwing Regional Reservist Convention itong Senior Leaders Forum kung saan yan po ay dinadaluhan ng mga matataas na opisyal mula pa rin naman po sa Reserve Force at syempre kasama po yung ating mga senior officers na naman din po dito sa OJ9. So sila po yung mag-uusap-usap para kung meron mga gustong ibahagi concern, may mga gustong i-raise na question, ay masasagot po kayo directly ng ating mga opisyal mula dito po sa Deputy of Chief of Staff or Reservist and Military Affairs J9. So kita-kits tayo dyan mga katropa sa Davao. At ito nga pong activity sa VISCOM bilang pagbibigay po ng background. Yan po ay ginawa via face-to-face and BTC combined yan, no? So sa face-to-face ay dinaluhan po yan mga katropa ng 204 personnel, no? Ng 204 reservists dyan sa Visayas Command. So salamat at marami po tayong nakasalamuha dyan ng ating mga laang kawal sa Visayas Command at tunay pong napakagaling, no, ng kanilang execution pagdating naman po dito sa war fighting and humanitarian and disaster response operation. Ipapakita po natin yan mamaya mga katropa at abangan po ninyo dahil kahit ako, no, ay talaga pong natuwa, napakahusay ng ating mga reservists dyan sa Visayas Command. At salamat syempre pa sa ating Viscom Commander, no, kay Sir Lieutenant General Robert Daos, Philippine Army. Siya po yung Visayas Command Commander at mainit din po ang kanyang pagtanggap, no, sa ating mga katropa mula po sa OJ9. Thank you sir sa pasombrero, no. Yan, may remembrance kami mula dyan sa Viscom at si Sir din yung Gohas doon sa closing ceremony. So ayan mga katropa, no, ito na. At ipakita natin sa inyo yung mga naging kaganapan diyan sa Visayas Command at sabay-sabay po nating panoorin, no, yung kanilang mga ginawa diyan sa ating mga reservists sa Viscom.
we participated on the warfighting demo, and my experience are tiring yet happy. So I'm hoping that nakapay next na makita po ang video.
Ito kayo ang activity karon kay interagency or ato ang pagkuhan sa respond sa bombing incident. So I hope naapat ni siya next nga activity nga ingani para ma-enhance pa nato ang mga skills and how to respond sa mga ingani nga klase sa mga buwan, mga cases.
Worth it kasi nag-leave ako sa office and the training was really good, interacting with other branches, Air Force, Army, and I'm excited for more activity like this. Thank you.
Yung experience, masaya. Though mainit siya, pero masaya and worth it. Thank you.
Ayan mga katropa, no? Yan po yung naging kaganapan dyan sa Visayas Command. Yan, nakita nyo naman po kung gaano naging napakaganda yung ating activity dyan, yung sinagawang Regional Reservist Convention sa VISCOM. At thank you so much sa lahat ng mga nag-attend at congratulations din po sa inyong lahat. Napakaganda mga katropa ng kanilang warfighting and HADR capability demonstration, di ba? Nakita nyo naman, talaga napakahusay. Super proud kami na witness namin yung kagalingan ng ating mga reservists dyan sa Visayas Command. At yung pong kabuuan ng activity na yon, yung video na yon ay ginawa pa rin naman po syempre ng 3rd CRG, Civil Relations Service, Armed Forces of the Philippines. Maraming salamat sa ating mga kasamahan dyan sa 3rd CRG. Nakita ko dyan syempre pa si Katropang Sir Pipes. Ayan. Thank you so much sa inyong pagtanggap sa amin at napakahusay po ng inyong ginawang video. Thank you, thank you. And yung pong yung video na inyong nakita, yung mga activities na sigawa dyan ay yung ating bukod dun sa warfighting and HADR, nagkaroon din po ng team building activities, no? Nag-basketball yung ating mga reservists dyan, tag of war, nag-squadron, at meron din pong golf tournament doon naman sa ating mga senior officers, both from regular and reserve force. At syempre pa, ay nagkaroon din sila ng swimming competition, no? At ng fun bike. So napakaraming activity punong-puno. From May 26 to May 29, no? Ay sobrang dami ng ginawa ng ating mga reservists dyan. At yung mga lectures naman po na sinagawa ay tungkol pa rin naman sa military decision making process, yung MDMP. Nagkaroon din po ng lectures about sa LOI Pagbabago Juliet at syempre yung kanilang Viscom campaign plan. Yan po ay diniscuss dun sa mga participating reservists natin. At sobrang overwhelming, no, yung attendance ng ating mga katropang laang kawal diyan sa Visayas Command. Napaka nila active kumbaga at napakahuhusay. So muli ang ating pagbati ng congratulations sa inyong lahat ng mga nag-join po dyan sa Regional Reservist Convention sa Visayas Command. So yung kaunting background, no, dun sa isinagawang warfighting and HADR demonstration, kunwari itong ating mga reserve force na nag-join dyan ay na-mobilize and they are employed for warfighting and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations with the assumption that the President and the Congress jointly approve their mobilization. No? Kunwari nagkakaroon po ng threat, no, sa ating bansa, ay nagkakaroon ng mobilization. So kapag gano'n, nako-call to active duty yung ating mga reservists. Sila ay nagiging regular na din. At yan nga po, katulad na nakita ninyo, ay nagpe-perform sila just like the regular force. No? And alam niyo po mga katropa, itong ating reserve force, it performs important mission in the security of the state and our people. Under the current policy regime, the country's reserve force provide the base for the expansion of the armed forces of the Philippines in the event of war, invasion, or rebellion. So kapag kailangan natin, no, ay talaga namang ready din palagi yung ating mga reservists para ma-call to active duty. And they are also assisting in the conduct of relief and rescue operations during disaster or calamities, in socio-economic development programs of the government, and in the operation and maintenance of essential government or private utilities. As such, it is critical that the reserve force remain organized, manned, and equipped to respond to the exigencies of the time. So, yan po yung chine-check, no, yung OJ9, no, especially ng Mobilization and Utilization Division dito po sa OJ9. Kumusta na ba yung ating mga reservists dun sa iba't ibang panig ng ating bansa? Kumusta yung kanilang mga equipments? Yan. Ano pa yung mga kailangan, no? So makita natin para mailagay natin sa ating report at maiparating sa taas, no, kung ano ba yung sitwasyon ng ating mga reservists from the ground. So, yan mga katropa ang ginagawa kapag nagkakaroon itong Regional Reservist Convention. Actually, ito pong sa Visayas Command ay pangatlong beses na, no? Ito na yung third leg nitong ating RRC. Una po ay dyan sa Northern Luzon Command na sinagawa naman sa Tarlac. At syempre yung pangalawa ay dito sa Southern Luzon Command, kung saan yan po ay isinagawa sa dalawang location, sa Mindoro at sa Daet Camarines Norte. At ito na nga pong pangatlo, dyan naman sa Camp Lapu-Lapu, Lapu-Lapu City, dyan po sa Visayas Command Headquarters. At susunod na, ngayong August, dyan naman sa Davao. So kita-kits tayo dyan mga katropa. No? At sa mga gusto po na maging bahagi ng ating reserve force, sa maraming nagtatanong paano ba maging isang reservist. So mga katropa, meron pong dalawang paraan. No? There are two ways to become a reservist. One is the enlistment and the other one is to become an officer. For enlistment, the qualifications, ito na po. Filipino citizenship, siyempre dapat kailangan, no? At must be at least 18 years of age, physically and mentally fit, at least a high school graduate, not a graduate of basic ROTC training. Huh? If possessing these qualities, you will need to accomplish the reservist information data form and then undertake an affidavit of no pending case and attach a postcard size print out of your full body picture wearing a formal or semi-formal attire. You also need to submit a PSA and SO birth certificate with the receipt and drug test result, and finally, command clearance, which consists of barangay clearance, police clearance, and NBI clearance. These are all for the enlistment qualifications and requirements. Para naman po sa mga gusto maging officers, the qualifications are the following. You must be between 21 to 64 years old, must either be a college graduate or graduate of advanced ROTC or provisionary officers training course or POTC graduate or graduate of basic ROTC with college degree or non-commissioned officer or petty officer or key and technical officers of AFP affiliated reserve units. Must be a graduate of Master in National Security Administration or an elected official or presidential appointee with a college degree or licensed professional. Those qualified should submit an accomplished application form for commission in the reserve force. Kailangan din po ang affidavit of no pending case, a postcard size printout of whole body picture wearing a formal or semi-formal attire, a personal data statement or resume or yung inyong statement of SOI, no, for active or enlisted reservist. Kailangan din po ang PSA and or NSO birth certificate with receipt, authenticated diploma and transcript of records. For elected officials, kailangan po yung COMELEC certificate. And kailangan din ang AFP aptitude test. And for advanced ROTC qualified, kailangan po ang diploma of advanced ROTC completion, or for POTC graduate, kailangan naman yung diploma for POTC completion. At kailangan din yung physical exam report, drug test result, at command clearance. Yan na, para po sa mga interesado na maging kasama natin sa regular force, yan po yung mga requirements na kinakailangan. At pwede po kayong mag-apply doon sa ating mga major service command. Katulad na lamang po dyan sa Philippine Army, sa Philippine Navy, at sa Philippine Air Force. So doon po tayo pupunta, no? Para naman doon sa mga technical administrative service, no, yung mga task natin, dyan naman po pupunta sa ating AFRESCOM. Dito po yan sa Camp Aguinaldo. So, paano po mag-apply? Ito na ang kailangang i-prepare mga katropa. Mag-prepare po kayo ng 3 folders. All of the required documents must be accomplished in tatluhan, triplicates. The original copies should be put in 1 folder and the 2 copies will also be put in 2 separate folders. These folders should be sent to your community defense centers. Yan. So, yung mga nasa mga probinsya, pwede po kayong magpasa ng inyong mga requirements doon sa inyong mga CDCs o yung ating mga community defense center. So, yun yung kailangan gawin, no, sa ating mga applicants, no, sa mga interesadong mag-join sa AFP Reserve Force. At tunay pong magiging makabuluhan, no, yung inyong pagsali o pagsama sa AFP Reserve Force. Nakita nyo naman kung ano yung na-create, no, nagagawa dun sa ating mga katropa. Napaka disciplined, no? Nakita niyo po kung ano yung kanilang function, especially kapag meron pong mga disaster and calamities dito sa ating bansa, ay lagi pong nandyan, no, yung ating mga reservists, nangunguna sa pagbibigay po ng services, no, para makatulong doon sa ating mga kababayan. For example, kapag pumuputok itong vulkan dyan sa Taal, ayan, lagi pong nandyan ang ating mga reservists para umaksyon, no, agad-agad para tumulong daan sa ating mga affected na mga kababayan. And ito po mga katropa, no, ay sana ay dun sa mga interesado na mag-join po sa Reserve Force ay na-take note niya yung mga ating mga requirements. At madali lang naman yan. Kapag kumpleto ka na, magiging madali naman na yung proseso. And syempre pa, yan, ay ano nga ba yung mga ginagawa ng ating Reserve Force, no? So, ito na, mga katropa, magbahagi muna tayo ulit ng isa pang video para po makita ninyo yung background ng AFP Reserve Force.
RA 7077, an act providing for the development, administration, organization, training, maintenance, and utilization of the citizen armed forces of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and for other purposes. This act shall be known as the Citizen Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservist Act. The national and international security threats are evolving. At present, natural disasters and its effects are more devastating. Terrorism and insurgency continue to endanger the lives and properties of the people and communities. With these security challenges, the Armed Forces of the Philippines remains committed and dedicated to secure the people and protect the state in any eventualities. The regular force, it is the policy of the state to maintain a standing or regular military force in times of peace consonant to its adequate and actual needs for the security of the state, but which can be rapidly expanded by the well-disciplined citizen forces in the event of war, invasion, or rebellion. The security and socio-economic development of the state. The citizen armed force shall be provided maximum opportunity to participate in safeguarding the security of the state and in assisting in socio-economic development. The call to personal military and civil service. The citizen armed force shall be so organized, trained, developed, and maintained as to ensure their readiness to immediately respond to the call to service. The public awareness. The state shall promote and develop public support to and awareness of the important role of the citizen armed force as protector of the people and the state. The manpower of the citizen armed force. The manpower objective of the citizen armed force shall conform to projected and actual needs. It is not envisioned by the state to have a nation under arms unless extremely necessary. The fourfold mission of the AFP Reserve Force pursuant to RA 7077. To provide the base for the expansion of the AFP in the event of war, invasion, or rebellion. To assist in relief and rescue during disaster or calamity. To assist in socio-economic and development, and to assist in the operation and maintenance of essential government or private utilities in the furtherance of the overall mission. The Reserve Force is organized into 5 components, namely the Army Reserve, the Air Force Reserve, the Navy Reserve, the AFP-wide Technical Reserve, and the Affiliated Reserve. The Army Reserve Command have a steadfast reservist who shows passion and commitment by hurdling the basic citizen military training. They are trained with the right doctrine and supported by proper facilities and amenities. The reservists in the Air Force Reserve Command were trained for conventional and unconventional warfare, anti-guerrilla operations, combat support, and service support, force multiplier, training, disaster rescue and relief, and community service. The Navy Reserve is a valued partner of the Navy's active duty component. From the start of their training as ROTC cadets, they have learned to train as a team and exceed their perceived limits to prepare them for duty as patriotic citizens. Reservists are professional individuals who have the strong will and devotion to help in nation building, employing their skills and expertise in their chosen fields without any compensation. They provide professional care. They serve as force multiplier of AFP regular force in the vaccination program of the government against COVID-19. They save lives. Affiliate reserve units are corporations, companies, organizations, and institutions tapped by the Armed Forces of the Philippines to render military service in the event of war, invasion, rebellion, or national emergency. As members of the nation's citizens' armed force, they support the AFP in protecting the people and securing the state. Along with the AFP's firm resolve, the Citizen Armed Force or the nation's reserve force plays a vital role of supporting the regular forces in defending the nation against emerging challenges in the changing security environment. The AFP, through the OJ-9, regularly conducts bilateral activities with the Hawaii National Guards and Guam National Guards under the State Partnership Program. These activities include subject matter expert exchanges on various topics, such as HADR training, reciprocal visits, and AFP-U.S. Reserve Officer Training Corps Cultural Understanding and Leadership Program, among others. And to do all of that, reservists need to train and be equipped with the right skills, knowledge, and attributes. They train hard to be worthy of becoming one of the nation's citizen armed forces. Article 9, Section 58 of RA 7077 states that reservists on compulsory training shall be subject to military law. They shall not receive pay, but shall be entitled to allowances and burial benefits as provided by law. Reservists on voluntary training are also subject to military law, but shall not be entitled to allowances. Meanwhile, Article 10, Section 60 of RA 7077 states that an enlisted or officer reservist, when called to active duty by virtue of mobilization, shall receive all the pay and allowances, medical care, hospitalization, and other privileges and benefits prescribed by law or regulations for officers and enlisted personnel of the regular force. According to Commonwealth Act No. 1 or the National Defense Act, the preservation of the state is the obligation of every citizen. Meanwhile, Article No. 1, Section 2, Paragraph B of National Defense Act states that the employment of the nation's citizens and resources for national defense shall be effected by a national mobilization. A national mobilization shall be through the joint act of Congress and the President.
You have a duty to perform to your country.
When full mobilization is ordered, all units of the ready and standby reserve will be activated. The reservists constituting them are called to active duty, and the units activated are placed on operational readiness. All other reservists not assigned to any unit or those assigned to reserve pools shall be organized into replacement units. Our nation, like the rest of the world, envisions a secure and progressive state. Our lawmakers have enacted our very own law known as Republic Act 7077, as amended, or the Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservist Act for the development, administration, organization, training, maintenance, and utilization of the citizen armed force, which shall be organized, trained, developed, and maintained to ensure readiness to immediately respond to the call of service. As reservists, they are ready to face the ever-changing security environment. They are ready to respond and be mobilized during humanitarian assistance and disaster response, and they support the regular forces to secure the nation from domestic and foreign threats when called to active service.
Ayan, mga katropa, at inyo pong napanood, kung ano yung ginagampanang tungkulin ng ating AFP Reserve Force. Yan. At para po sa mga nagtatanong, ano nga ba yung benepisyo kapag naging isa ka ng ganap na lang kawal? As an Army Reservist, you'll experience rewarding work, training, opportunities to travel, and camaraderie, unlike anywhere else. And just like the Army, yan po ay kapareho din sa Philippine Air Force, sa Philippine Navy. Yan. Benefit from world-class training. Ha? Kita po ninyo kanina dun sa ating video kung ano yung ginagawang mga trainings ng ating mga reservists. So, ganun din po, yung maaari nyo ma-experience if you become a reservist. And syempre pa, magiging mas disiplinado, and self-reliant in both your military and civilian career. Ito po mga katropa ang mga benefits na pwede niyo matanggap if you become a reservist. Retention for maximum hospitalization. A reservist or draftee who is injured or contracts a disease or sickness while undergoing training in service, not due to his intentional misconduct, willful failure or neglect, or vicious or immoral habits, shall be retained beyond the period of his reservist or draftee service with his consent, for the necessary hospitalization and medical care until such time that he recovers or is determined that further hospitalization will not improve his condition. During the period of hospitalization, he shall be entitled to subsistence allowance, and hospitalization benefits are available to the members of the regular force who are patients in armed forces hospitals. Sa status naman po ng mga reservists on training, ito naman po yung kanilang benepisyo na maaaring matanggap. Reservists on compulsory training shall be subject to military law. They shall not receive pay, but shall be entitled to allowances and burial benefits as provided by law. Reservists on voluntary training are also subject to military law, but shall not be entitled to allowances. And dun sa ating mga reservists, if you are under mobilization, an enlisted or officer reservist, when called to active duty, by virtue of mobilization, shall receive all the pay and allowances. Lahat po. Pati po yung medical care, hospitalization, and other privileges and benefits prescribed by law or regulations for officers and enlisted personnel of the regular force. If you were called to active duty, kung ano yung mga benefits na natatanggap ng isang regular, yung ating sundalo na nasa regular force, ay yun din po ang iyong matatanggap. So yun naman pong ating mga reservists on auxiliary service. A reservist performing auxiliary service shall not receive pay, but shall be entitled to receive allowance and burial benefits as provided by law. With his consent, reservists and auxiliary service, whether civil or military, may continue to render such service without receiving the allowances due him. A reservist serving military auxiliary service is subject to military law, whereas a reservist serving civil auxiliary service is not. So yun po, yung mga benefits na maaaring matanggap ng ating mga reservists. At doon po sa mga gusto pa na mag-join sa AFP Reserve Force, tayo po ay welcome na welcome. At salamat dun sa mga katropa natin na nagpapahayag ng kanilang kagustuhan na maging kabahagi ng AFP Reserve Force. At sumasaludo po kami sa inyo at nagpapasalamat mga katropa dahil alam naman po natin na libre yung serbisyo na kanilang pinagkakaloob para sa ating bayan at para sa ating mga kababayan. So we are very thankful, At marami din pong mga kababayan natin na mga popular, yan, yung mga artista natin, ay nagjo-join din sa ating reserve force at nagpapasalamat tayo sa kanila dahil mas lalo pa napopromote yung ating reserve force. Mas marami pang gustong mag-join. At dahil totoo naman po na maraming benefits na maaaring makuha. At kapag isa kang reservist ay kahanga-hanga talaga po yung kanilang ginagawang tungkulin. At ito pa mga katropa, no, update lamang mula pa rin naman po sa Army Reserve Force. The Army Reservists celebrate the International Day of Biological Diversity. In celebration po nitong International Day of Biological Diversity, Army Reservists are under 1303rd and 1305th Community Defense Centers, National Capital Region, Regional Community Defense Group, Reserve Command, Philippine Army, participated in the special interagency cleanup drive activity of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources held at Estero de Provisor in Manila City. Ito pong nakaraang May 30, 2022. The activity is in line with the effort of Army Reserve Component in partnership with the DENR to contribute in the rehabilitation of Pasig River, where the Estero de Provisor is one of its tributaries. Yan. At naglinis po yung ating mga reservists dyan. No? At thank you so much sa inyo pong pag-alalay at pagsuporta dito sa ginagawang efforts ng DENR, no, para ma-rehabilitate itong ating Pasig River, no. At syempre pa ang atin naman pong Army Reservists ay nag-assist din sa DSWD and their cash aid distribution. Army Reservists of 605th Community Defense Center, 6th Regional Community Defense Group Reserve Command, Philippine Army, provided manpower assistance to the Department of Social Welfare and Development during the distribution of financial assistance to the families who were severely affected by Typhoon Odette in Panaad Park, Barangay Mansilingan, Bacolod City on May 26, 2022. The activity serves as the financial assistance covered under the government's commitment to those affected by the Typhoon Odette that hit some parts of the Visayas and Mindanao, including Bacolod. Nung nagpunta nga tayo dyan sa Visayas, no, sa Cebu, ay nakita nga natin ito naging epekto ni Typhoon Odette at talaga namang nasira yung kanilang mga buildings diyan, yung mga bahay, maraming mga nasira, no. Napakalakas nga daw po itong si Typhoon Odette na humagupit diyan sa bandang Visayas at Mindanao. At sa ngayon ay nag-rehabilitate sila ng kanilang mga lugar. At syempre pa, nagpapasalamat tayo dun sa mga reservists natin na tumulong, no, para mabigyan ng serbisyo yung ating mga kababayan diyan sa Visayas and Mindanao na naging naapektuhan ito pong si Typhoon Odette. At thank you po talaga dun sa mga services na binibigay ng ating mga laang kawal. At syempre pa mga katropa, nalalapit na naman po ang pagtatapos ng ating programa. Napakabilis, ano? Napakabilis ng isang oras. Maraming salamat sa lahat po ng ating mga naging tagapakinig ngayong araw na ito ng Sabado. At thank you kay Kuya Terence. Kuya Terence, good morning. Palagi nanonood sa atin si Katropang Terence every Saturday. Yan, sunod na po ang kanyang programa. So Kuya Terence, thank you so much and see you around. Sana magkita-kita tayo ulit, no? At thank you rin po sa ating technician for today, kay Kuya Ronald. Kuya Nag, salamat sa pag-assist. At syempre pa, binabati ko muli ng happy birthday si Major Lumagi. Ayan, Sir Jeff. Yung mag-guest ngayon, ha. Syempre pa, ikaw ay babatiin namin ng happy birthday. Sana mas marami pang birthdays ang dumating sa iyong buhay. And best wishes. Lahat ng mga dreams mo. May mga dreams pa ba si Sir? Sana ay matupad. And good morning kila Ma'am Gemma. Ayan, kay Ma'am Gemma, kay Sir Peralta, kay Nalin, kay King, at kay Pang. Dito po sa ating Mobilization and Utilization Division sa OJ9. Good morning at salamat kay Sir Puno sa kanyang pag-assist kanina sa akin dito sa ating programa. Thank you so much, Sir. At syempre pa sa pangunguna pong muli ni Major General Camilo Z. Ligayo, Philippine Army, ang aming J9. Ako pong muli, ang inyong katropa, Sergeant Maricel Nesio Batara, Philippine Air Force, para po dito sa programang Reservist Hour. And kay Katropang Bernie ay sana ay maging okay na siya. And see you on the next program. Thank you po ulit mga katropa. Bye-bye. See you on next Saturday.
Ito ang DWDD 1134 kHz AM. Balita, impormasyon at musika. Ito ang DWDD AFP Radio. Boses ng Kawal Pilipino.